Guru Kripa Kevalam. Namaste and welcome everyone to Satsang today. Sadguru Sri Muji Baba Ki Jai. Spirituality is basically the story of God's presence in this world. It is not that you are spiritual or you are practicing spirituality. It is quite literally just the story of God's presence in this world. So, when we come to spirituality, when we attain spirituality, that which we consider ourselves to be just aligns itself to God's presence and becomes a part of that light. If you can grasp this and this is what you actually want, then the spiritual path will be very straightforward, although not always easy, but straightforward. But if you think that spirituality is for you, and the situation is reversed where it is the story of your life becoming from worldly to spiritual, and you will now make God a participant in your life, and most likely an assistant in your life, then we've got this upside down. So, sound is a bit low, maybe my volume is a bit low. Okay, let's see. To meet the Guru presence in your heart as the point of intersection where your life ceases to be and God's light takes over, is to come to Satsang. So, when we say open and empty, it is to come to your depths while you're still alive. So that now it is God's light, God's presence, God's life, which can unfold through you or through that which you considered to be you, and not the other way around. So once you fix your perspective about this, your paradigm on this, everything shared in Satsang will seem very clear. But if you still think that God is for me, rather than me or whatever is left of it to be for God, then to be in Satsang is to be made uncomfortable. And if you still take yourself to be an individual which does not want to make this sacrifice and you still find Satsang enjoyable, then I am doing something wrong. I don't want to make you peaceful or happy. I don't want to make you blissful. I want to make you burn. So if you are burning, then that is good. If you are happy as a byproduct of the burning and being in the pure presence of God, then that is good. But if you are happy being you, then I'm here to change that. I know it may not have been what you wanted or thought you wanted. But the idea is not to make you happy because you really are nothing. You don't exist. So to make the delusion happy is not going to serve anyone, anything. So really it is a battle in a way of two different infections. I'm afflicted with a heart infection, deeply afflicted by this heart infection, which makes me drown in the love for God, make me see nothing but God's light wherever I look. And that which I considered myself to be, the person that I thought I was, I cannot find, and in the moments it makes a rare appearance, it is negligible and pointless. So this is I'm the carrier of this infection. And if you come close to me, then you will catch it. The world predominantly is caught up in an infection of selfishness, obsessed with what about me and help me and progress for me. And it's found that if you spend time in that kind of mindset, then you catch that kind of infection. So that is, and really we have no role in this. We have no role in this. It's just how the light is spreading or not spreading. It's really about that. So those of you who are willing to catch this bug, that means to let go of their conceptual life for the true life of God. True life of God, not a conceptual idea of God, but the true discovery and insight of God, which is the end of the selfishness of the me, from a temporal life to an eternal life. Then satsang is the environment where this kind of bug can spread. But I really have no interest in amplifying your spiritual egos. No interest in getting you to know something. I have no interest if the sound is really bad. Is it my sound or is it the... Aha. Is it the... All right. Okay, this should work. But what I was saying was audible at least, if not fantastic sound, at least the message was clear on. So what I'm looking for is more carriers of this bug, because I want this bug to spread. That's really what I want. God's light to spread as far and wide as possible. And the ego shadow, the mind's propagation of selfishness to be wiped away. So first, let's examine what we are in this for. Whose life are you leading right now? Who is your life for? Who is your life for? If your life is for God, it is important first to come face to face with the presence of God. See, because I don't want you to let go of your imagined life as imagined as it is for another imaginary notion. So let's find the God in front of whom we can chop off our own heads. And this is actually very easy. If you mean what you claim, that your life is no longer for yourself, but it is for God, then your mind cannot come in the way of this discovery. And this discovery is the most intimate and most simple that you will ever make. Imagine for a moment that this sense of aliveness that you feel at the moment, that went away. And you no longer felt alive. Imagine yourself, if it is not too scary a notion, to be like a zombie, a lifeless object, just moving from place to place. So this presence of life, this presence of being, is not somebody's individual presence, is not an objective ownership that you have over this. This itself is God's presence. It is God's light. That very aliveness in you, that very beingness in you. So when I ask you, can you stop being? The being that you encounter, the presence of the being that you encounter is God's presence. Is God's presence. It is the difference between you being alive and you being dead. So if you can claim that I am alive, it is on the inside of this being that you say that you are. One child said that my life is for me till suffering happens. It is for me till suffering happens. Now we need to examine that very closely, because she's saying something that many of you may actually believe but not want to reveal. So this means it would be all right to live for this me. There's only one main problem in this. See? And that main problem in this is that this me does not exist. See? It does not exist. And even if we say it is your imagination or it is an illusion, even in the imagination, we have no construct of this me. Because at best, what we construct is this body. With this body, but this body itself is not the center for most of what is troubling us. So if we come to satsang for me, for example, suppose we wanted spirituality to serve us, then this much is apparent that it is not here to serve the body. You see? So we do not really consider ourselves to be the body anyway. And if we did, you would not be here in satsang in the first place. That you are in satsang proves that you don't take yourself to be just the body, but you may from time to time take yourself to be an individual entity which is completely unfounded. It is literally unfounded. You cannot find it. And this is just a symptom of the other one. It is just a symptom of the ego's shadow. It is a symptom of the mind. So that you continue to be in satsang reveals that you realize that that is not the way to live. You no longer want to live in the ego shadow and live a life which is between birth and death, chasing after nonsensical things, and claiming things for yourself which you cannot find the owner of them ever in the first place. So you're done with that kind of life, and that makes you stay in satsang. But it's good to notice this because this has to be plucked out in some way. It has to be plucked out in some way. And the way is God. Because to replace the imaginary one with that which is all that is tangible in reality, leave no room for the false one to remain. So this me we cannot find. And yet our life seemed to have been devoted to that one. This being is the very presence of God, which is here and it is apparent. So the first thing for all of you, if it is not apparent, is to make this apparent, come what may. Don't pick up any other project whatsoever. See? If you have a doubt about the apparency of God's presence in your heart, then leave everything else to God and just focus on this. Inwardly, outwardly, it's okay, whatever has happened. Don't bother about a single thing except finding God in your heart. That's the only thing that matters at this point. Because that will be the foundation for your new life. That will be the foundation for your eternal life. Otherwise, we're just fighting among categories in our head. There's a Advaita category, there is a spiritual category, there is a worldly category, there is a work category, relationship category. Then we're just fighting amongst all of this. So drop everything else that you think you know, that you're right about, that you have to do. Because if you do not come to God right now, then we don't know how many breaths we still have left. So, right here, right now, I'm making it very straightforward for you. Find that which is being. Find that which truly exists, the presence of which is God's presence, is God's light, is your heart, is the Sadguru presence. How many of you feel it is apparent? Apparent. No peer pressure. Because your simple raising of the hand will change the course of this conversation. So have full integrity towards yourself. Really, it's never about winning. Thank you. Thank you. It's really never about winning a race. It's really not about getting there first. And I am going to be around in one way or the other till every single brother and sister find this. Okay. So it's not really about rushing. So right here, right now, your very being is present. It's a beautiful discovery because through this presence we can hold on, we can grab on to the toenail of God. Through this presence, He's made the gate for us to hang on to, metaphorically speaking, the toenail of God, without which in our present human condition, God would be unfathomable. You see? So to discover the formless reality of God, except in our concept or our imagination, if it was not for the presence of the Sadguru within us, the presence of the divinity within us, then it would just be conceptual. So this is the tiny tip of the iceberg, which we must hold on to for dear life. And don't discount this discovery at all, because it is in this very light that this entire universe and all the universes that came before it and will come after it are created. So although it might be a mere toenail for God, it is the creator, preserver, and destroyer of this universe. All aspects of consciousness and God appear within it. All aspects of time and space appear within it. Okay. So it is very important to discover and to remain in this presence. Some of you send me some reports, some of you, because I use the term God's light and it doesn't appear as light to you, and that is fine. It is fine. In terms of how it appears is not important, as long as you can validate for yourself that when you check with yourself, can I stop being? Something becomes apparent to you, your beingness, your aliveness, your presence becomes apparent to you. As long as you can confirm it on that basis, then you're not going wrong. So now, in this discovery, which is the discovery of the very light which gives light to the sun and the moon, gives light to all the millions and trillions of planets and stars, gives light to millions and trillions of universes like this which may come and go. And please, please, please don't hear what I'm saying metaphorically or poetically. I'm not making poetry. This is not a feel-good exercise. I'm telling you things as I have found them to be. Exactly like you would say, okay, now if I take a left from here, what do I get? I'm pointing you as literally as giving you directions on a street. Okay? So don't allow your mind to create this whole dreamlike aura about everything. Oh, this being is the light of the universe. It's so nice. I'm saying literally it is. The world is made up of this being. And you have the privilege to come in its presence. We have the privilege to come in its presence. That light, which is God's presence, God's divinity, we can encounter for ourselves. So don't give this to your skeptical mind or Advaita mind or something which says, yes, yes, but what about? Let's meet this, really. Because your mind cannot fathom one hair on the head of this being. Only in your completely naked meeting with it will you fathom it. So this light, this creative light, the light that creates this entire universe and sustains it by its very presence is also available to us as a guide, as a teacher. That is why it's also called the Sadguru presence. It is a magnificent, it is a phenomenal discovery, the likes of which you cannot have in this world. Because you meet the gateway to that which is formless. This then becomes the portal to the formlessness, the unfathomableness of God. Without this, you are dead anyway. Without this, there is no life anyway. So when you asked for the sacrifice, it is only the sacrifice of all that is false. But you must determine in this moment right now, because we don't have time, we don't know how much time we have. You must determine in this moment right now that your life is for this light. And if you can't do it, face it that you can't do it. Face that which stops you. If you're going to participate in the journey of this light in this universe, then you cannot do it half-heartedly. Either your life belongs to God or it doesn't belong to God. It is binary. So first, get rid of the ultimate stupidity, which is that God will come to become in service to you or become an assistant to you. That is the realm of completely nonsensical and fake spirituality. Throw that away. Secondly, throw away all your sheepishness about, oh yes, but sometimes, and then this, and then that happened, and then like that, and off with it. In this moment, at least, you can make that binary determination to belong to God. The future we will see in the future. But it is important for you now to bow down inwardly and dedicate your life to this light. Otherwise, that which is coming after this will be completely just words. It won't have any light, it won't have any strength. Because the discovery of the ultimate reality is not for you as a me. It is for you empty of me. So, right now, become empty of yourself. And if you don't feel like you're empty, then bring that which stops you from being empty into your own light so that it may burn. A useful question here is that I may claim that I am empty and fully available to God, but what would I not do for God? What are those islands that we have kept safe for ourselves, where we don't want God's interference? So if God says, for example, throw that away, say, no, 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 not that. Shine your light on those things. Don't shy away from them. Don't come into any sort of Advaita denial about them. Don't suddenly say, but I am the self alone. And all of these things are Maya. It is just an avoidance. You can only speak those words if you truly live them your entire life, not just when you're asked to let go. Ask yourself, who have I not forgiven yet? And if God said that first you must forgive all your brothers and sisters, this simple instruction would we be able to follow? Also ask yourself, what are you hiding in the comfortable corner of your mind, believing that God's light does not extend till there, and this can be a nice secret for you. It is these blind spots which will become areas of your grievances, your shame, all of those things which the mind traps you with. You may feel like with hiding you're saving yourself, actually you're only destroying yourself. Who have you not forgiven? What are you still hiding? And simply put, what do you think you know? What are you right about? The highest piece of knowledge in your intellect is not even the worst piece of rubbish in the universe. I'm literally saying, you may strive your entire life to pick up the highest pieces of knowledge, and you would have gone back a garbage collector. That's it. I'm not going to allow you to waste your life like this. Your understanding in your head is a load of garbage. Quickly you learn to recognize the stink of it and throw it away, the better it is for you. If there is an aversion to anything that this life may unfold for you, if it is God's will that you end up, or what you take yourself to be ends up a naked beggar on the streets, not knowing where the next morsel of food will come from, would you be okay with that? If you were asked to serve as a humble servant, but you lived in God's light, if the entire world took you to be just the scum of the earth, but you lived in God's light, would it still be worth it or not? Without this, all our talk about, oh, my life is for you, Father, and my life is for you, Guruji, and my life is for you, God, is just lip service. So now you are in bigger trouble than you were before you came to the discovery of God. In bigger trouble than you were before you came to the discovery of God, because before you came to the discovery of God, you could say, I don't know what God wants. I'm happy to follow God's will, but I can't find this God. I want to surrender my will to God's will, but where is God? But now you're in big trouble because you don't have this excuse left. God is right here in your heart as your very presence. So first is to come to the discovery of God's presence. Your aliveness, your beingness, your consciousness is God's presence. God is here. Now that you found God, everything should become about God. Inwardly. All that I'm going to say is inwardly. Okay, I'm not saying anything about outwardly anything. Inwardly, everything must be now devoted and dedicated to God. If truly you want to come to the insight about your true self and live a life of authenticity and not the unstable mind of the unstable life of the wavering mind, then whether you think you're the choice maker or not, whether you believe you're the decision maker, oh, I'm not the doer, I'm not, all these are thoughts, everything, whatever, you make your life for God. Make it all about this light, not about you. You are only in service to this light. Now, the question is that if Guru Nanak Ji has told us that all we have to do to come to the truth, to break through the illusion, the veil of the illusion of the false, all we have to do is follow God's will. If we can see that the only way to attain oneness with Ram is to become Hanuman first. If we can see that the way to be a true Muslim is to follow the will of God, which is what Islam itself means. No matter which culture, which tradition, which part of the world, everywhere you look, this is the main message of all those who have come to the discovery of the truth. So what is now to become of your life now that you've handed it over to God? How am I supposed to live? It's very simple. It is maybe not that easy initially. What you're meant to do is allow the light to unfold for itself without the intervention of your mind. Allow God's presence to move whatever you take yourself to be. So if you take your body to be the whole universe itself, allow the universe to unfold naturally. If you take your body to be this body of flesh and blood, then allow this body to be moved only in God's light. And the presence will move you. It is only the presence which has been moving you anyway. This is to live headlessly, this is to live open and empty. Live in the unborn. To remain in the unborn is to not give birth to your mind and identify with it. This is to live at the feet of the Master. So allow this presence, which all of you are discovering, to run this life entirely. You cannot make categories. You cannot say, oh, but practical life. Oh, but this life, family life. Oh, but this life. Everything moves from there or it doesn't move at all. Anyway, it is none of your business now because remember you handed it over to God, isn't it? What happens is none of your business now. So remember what I'm saying? Everything moves from this presence or it doesn't move at all. But it does not move with mental intervention, no matter how rushed you are, how difficult the situation may seem, whatever the life situation may be. Unwaveringly follow this. But when you do waver, don't feel guilty. Come back home. Unwaveringly follow this. But when you do waver, come back home. Don't analyze. Don't do postmortems. Don't feel guilty. Don't say good, good, bad, bad. Nothing. Come back home. There is no time to waste. Once you have discovered the error, don't continue to make it. Come back. Most of your life will unfold in this way. But you will also realize that you start to hear God's voice guiding you. Many of you may have this idea that, oh, the heart cannot use words. And one child said this to me, and I felt the answer that came from here was quite nice. I said, if I want to hear the words of God right now, of course, I'm hearing them as I'm sharing satsang, but if I want to hear them right now, I have to continue to share satsang, but with my mouth closed. So it is not true that God cannot use words to communicate or guide. Don't rush into this. If you doubt where it is coming from, then let go of all words till you come to a point that it is supremely apparent to you that this is not your mind's voice. One tip I have given you already is that if who you are is apparent to you, then it cannot be the mind. Because who you are is apparent only intuitively. Then what happens? Suppose God's voice says, move to Timbuktu, leave everything, tomorrow buy a ticket and move. Two options. One, you will follow unwaveringly. Second option is that you will shake out of fear and you will say, no, this I cannot do. Both are good. But don't deny the second thing when it happens. Don't come into any sort of Advaita denial saying, oh, if it is your will, then you will make it happen anyway. What is the point of telling me this? Because you are encountering God's will in the highest way in your heart, in God's presence directly from God's mouth, more than the reflection through the world. This can sound tough because you expected this to be like airy fairy thing. Nice self-help program. So this can sound tough. If you cannot follow and yet God's voice is spoken to you, then use that as fuel for your inquiry and your prayer. And this that you cannot do does not have levels, and don't judge yourself based on that. Don't judge yourself based on that. The smallest thing and the biggest thing, really there is no difference. It is both just the mind. So don't get into any peer pressure saying my brother, my sister is able to give up their house and family. I'm not able to renounce even my breakfast or something. Don't try to have special problems for God. Bring what you really have to God. In this now, you have transcended the oldest problem in the universe. What is the oldest problem in the universe? The oldest problem in the universe is how to determine good from bad, right from wrong. So this has given you the stable platform on which you can build a life, because the only arbiter of goodness is where it is coming from. If it is coming from God, it is good. And if it is coming from your head, it is not. Okay? So how do we live a life surrendered to God's will? Allow the light itself, the presence itself to Move whatever has to be moved. But as you start to hear unmistakably the voice of God in your heart, then follow unwaveringly. And when you're not able to follow, don't hide those things away. Shine them in your light. Then you come to a place of true surrender. Then we have left our lip service and armchair spirituality behind. It is scary. It is scary because you don't know what your heart is going to say. But you also don't know what plots your mind is devising, but we have trusted those plots and those endeavors more than we have trusted our heart in the past. So, in that way, we have constructed a comfortable seeming hell in our lives because our lives are so shaky. We are not stable in our love, we are not stable in our relationships, we are not stable in what we like and dislike, we are not stable in our food, we are not stable in anything at all. Because we've just been in this mental slavery, in this mental oppression all this time. Now the fear will come because we got used to this mental oppression. So just like the people tied up in the story of Plato's cave, for a while we'll be scared, saying, okay, we are tied up, but at least we are familiar with the shadows. And what is the guarantee that we will come to a true light if we let go of the shackles? One child says, but isn't what is appearing, isn't everything that is appearing, isn't that God's will? Now you're saying that there is a greater will that I must follow. Yes, that is exactly what I'm saying. That look at it provisionally as the world showing you the reflection of God's will through your senses. But beyond your senses, beyond your natural worldly abilities, you are being guided by God in your heart. Because if it was to rely on what is appearing in the world, then the sharing of satsang could never happen. So the highest meeting with God's will is through God itself, God's presence itself. So that very presence which gives you life and gives birth to this universe can also guide you, can it not? And what better guide can we have? And it is even absurd to question following or not following the guidance of this guide, because this one is the creator, preserver, and destroyer of this universe. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are contained in the one formless reality whose presence we are privileged to meet. So that very God is meeting us through our Sadguru presence within. What better guide can we have? The seller of storybooks cannot be in competition at all. The narrative seller in our head cannot come close to this. So, why would we not follow as a useful contemplation? Maybe we would not follow if we don't really have faith that this is God. Because if it was God, and if it is appearing in form in front of you, then you might have tried completely to follow. You see? So this is a useful contemplation for all of us. Do we truly have faith that this presence that is being pointed to is really God? Or is it just some biochemistry? Is it just all the brain? So all your skepticism and learned knowledge can create doubt. But look at the pointing of any master, any sage, any tradition, anywhere in the world, and you will come to the same point, the same insight. The unperceivable, unfathomable reality called God intersects, intervenes to help us in this way by allowing its presence to become palpable. So first would be the doubt that this itself is God's presence. And it's not some fairy tale, how can it be that easy? I'm not deserving. God is for the rare one. All this block will come. But you will go through that because I've seeded it in you. And you have met someone who tells you that it is possible to live in the light of this presence. So this doubt itself you can bring to your very heart and surrender it or inquire into it, pray for it. Second is, why would God, which is running this universe, want to guide me individually, seemingly individually? So there are two ways to look at this. One is that all of this is about you, this is your dream. So the waking up has to be only for you. And the second way to look at this is to say that the author of this book, the author of this story has time, unlimited time for each character. It is not bound by time. Whatever appeals to you, both are nonsense anyway, but you can pick whichever you want. To let go of the doubt in your head. But the fact is that this is how it is. God has made its presence available to you, whatever you take yourself to be. And that presence is not just the light of the universe, it is also present as a Sadguru presence which can guide you. It is just how it is. So this, to live under the hukum being Guru Nanak Ji is pointing to us, hukum rajaye rakhna, Nanak likhya na, which is to say that we have to walk under the will, under the command actually of God, and that is the only way to true freedom. So this is the way to follow God's will. Allow it to unfold, allow everything to unfold in God's light, and God's light alone, uncontaminated by mental desire and aversion and selfishness. And to follow the guidance which we receive in any form, which we recognize as God's guidance, to follow that unwaveringly. And when we are not able to follow unwaveringly, then to bring that in God's light and to bow our head down and to surrender those things and not live in some sort of conceptual denial of our lack of trust. Okay. Often in satsang for many years I've said that being is on the cusp of the unmanifest and of the manifest. So now you're starting to get a taste of that, a scent of that. So the presence of the being is the fragrance of the being that you can rest in. And it is right on the boundary of the manifest, isn't it? When you observe, you notice that there is the primordial vibration, the Om, the I am, which is the very presence of this being, which you can taste, which you can recognize. Probably the most subtle recognition possible is your very being, is the perfume, is the light of this being. Because it's not one of the traditional lights, it's not like a light bulb, and yet it may have some luminosity. It is not like a sound, like the radio or something on the computer, and yet it is a vibration that you can hear. So this is the primordial. And some of us can even place it and say, I experience a presence. Although it is so clear it is not within my body, but if I was to give it a location, then I would say it is in my heart. So that makes it possible to receive in a human sort of way, in a traditional sort of way, and that is how it is available to everyone. And yet, if I ask all of you, and now we're taking a quantum leap, okay? Taking a quantum leap here. If I ask all of you, what is the boundary of your being? You will notice that it has no boundary. And yet that boundless, by definition, if it is boundless, it is unperceivable. So as we follow the perfume of this primordial vibration back inwards rather than outwards, because when we follow it outwards, it shows us the manifest universe. But as we follow it inwards, it takes us to a being which is beyond all sense of boundary, of time, and of space. This is a discovery of beingness, whether you call this being or consciousness or God or the Word, the Son of God, whatever, it doesn't matter, whatever terms you want to use. This is your boundless being, existence, boundless consciousness. Piece of cloth right here. So I was using the cloth metaphor the other day with the Bangalore Sangha, where I was explaining this. So although the being is one, So take this, of course, it's not manifest like this. Okay, and use, but it's a metaphor. So although the being is one, what is graspable as the primordial is the tip of the iceberg. So this is the tip of the iceberg. But when you meet it, do you meet the entire cloth or not? You do. You meet the entire cloth because it is one being. So when you come to the presence of being, you come to the entirety of being. But when you come to the presence of being, you can also notice that there is a primordial perception of that possible. But the rest of the being is under the surface of the water, like the rest of the iceberg. And that you come to know intuitively. You get a sense of what I'm saying? I noticed myself, I went very fast, so I'll repeat. But so all, and that is why I called it the toenail of God. So you, through God's grace, we are able to meet God in this way, where the presence is on the cusp of being perceivable. We can't really say perceivable, but let's say provisionally, it is perceivable as a primordial vibration. But what that points to is boundless and beyond all perception. So when I say, can you stop being? Both the presence of it, which is the part of the cloth which is above the surface, the tip of the iceberg which is above the surface becomes apparent. And then when you ask, but where does it start? Where does this end? Is it limited to what I'm perceiving of it? You realize that it is much, much vaster. So now we have gone beyond the realm of perception, beyond the realm of time and space, beyond this universe. You find this being which is beyond the limitations of this world. It is that in which the whole world wakes up. So as we are surrendered, fully surrendered to God's will, to live in oneness with this being is not just a possibility, but is a reality. We could also have approached this. So what I've discussed with you today is the way of faith. Is the way of faith, how to follow the presence of God into the insight of God. We could also approach this from the way of insight and gone to the insight of who we are, and then looked at what is to, what does it mean to then derive or live in the way of that heart, following the way of insight. So both ways are possible. So if you look at, in India, we have the breakup between Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. So Jnana Yoga is nothing but following the way of insight, and Bhakti Yoga is nothing but following the way of faith. But both are important, both are relevant, and I'll defer to Bhagwan's definition of the bird having two wings. One is Bhakti and one is Jnana. So here we come to an intuitive insight about that which is beyond human conceptualization, beyond the human intellect, and beyond human perception. And yet it is so straightforward and simply known intuitively that my being is timeless, birthless, deathless, endless. All of spirituality is this, about this one. And its presence, and its light, and its life is what spirituality is truly about. And see how far we've come from what we thought it was. And yet your reality and magnificence doesn't even end there, because it is you, so empty of all attributes and qualities. Even the attribute of being and not being is your ultimate reality. So when you encounter the question in this emptiness, when you meet the question, am I aware now? There's an unperceivable, quality-less nirguna recognition of that which is beyond even being and not being. That's where you encounter the true nirguna, the formless nature of God. You may call it the absolute or the self, whatever name you give to it. And this discovery is only possible intuitively. You can try to find something to see over there, you will never find it. You will try to find something that changes, something that is big or small, something in any which way. Your mind cannot get a handle on this at all in any way. This is your ultimate reality, the Nirguna Brahman. And this actually remains apparent to you like this, but only seems to not be apparent under the hypnosis of a mere thought. This is the strangeness of the Leela, the strangeness of this Maya, is that although you are magnificent beyond the being that gives birth to universes, you've also designed this play. If we want some explanation, again nonsense, but if you want some explanation, then we have designed this play in which the hypnosis under a mere thought can make it seem like we lost our reality. So the ego shadow is propagated under the hypnosis of a single thought. And the root behind all these thoughts is I, the notional I, not the real I. And God's light is when we are open and empty. This is the life of the heart. This is the way of the heart, which is a life of intuitive insight and faith. All the metaphors across all religions you'll find. So if some of you like the Bhagavad Gita, you'll notice that it's the same thing. Arjuna is being asked to follow God's voice. And Arjuna also has all the attachments and all the excuses to not follow what the Lord Krishna is telling him. And he realizes that it is best to follow. You also see in that very same story as we go along, what happens is that Krishna, to win the battle, does things which may not be acceptable to the normal moralistic idea of what is good and what is bad. So he also shows us the determination, and the determinant of good and bad is himself, is God itself. Because the alternative is a world full of evil, the world full of those. If some of you know the story, then there were a set of brothers, a set of cousins who were fighting. So the alternative was that the country would be ruled by these evil brothers full of trouble. But even that cannot be the determinant of what was good and bad. It is only the source of where it comes from. So if it comes from God, that is the only determinant of right and wrong. So in what I've described to you so far, we've discussed all aspects of like an intellectual philosophy and what are the problems that they're trying to resolve. There are three main problems. One is what is reality and is anything real? The second is if there is something which is real, what is knowledge and is there a way to have true knowledge? And the third is considering both those are possible, then what is the right way for us to live? What is ethics? So we now looked at all of those things in terms of what is reality, what is true knowledge in the form of intuitive insight, and what is the right way to live, which is under God's will and in obedience to God's will. I can give my voice a bit of a rest for a few minutes. You can also contemplate. We've covered a lot of ground today. Contemplate for a few minutes. I'd be happy if all of you followed the contemplations that I'm posting also on the community, the Discord community. I'm noticing that the way they are coming out is in a symphony, so sometimes in this aspect, sometimes in that aspect. So it builds up into the way of the heart in some ways. So it will be helpful. So God walked into our living room. God walked into our living room. Would we say to God, no, no, just wait. I have a few important emails to send. I'll come back to you. You will know. You will know. And there's nothing wrong in sending the email, but you get a sense of what I'm saying. So either we don't trust that what is here is God. We don't trust what is here is God. Or we are so deeply hypnotized by our minds that it has convinced us that even God can wait. And it is no point if you call somebody guru or master and then you don't trust what they are pointing to. And I realize most of you don't do that. You would probably mistrust your own discovery. But I'm also telling you that you cannot do this wrong. It is impossible for you to miss your own presence, your own being. But maybe the mind intervenes over there and says, no, no, that is just little old me. That can't be God. That is the ultimate trick of the mind. That is the ultimate con from the mind. Try to convince you that your presence is actually a limited presence of a person and not God's presence. But if all this is clicking with you, how is it possible that you would exchange this for something else? I'm introducing you to the hypnosis of Maya because it seems absurd. How would I pick little old me who doesn't even exist over the presence of the greatest and the only being in this universe? Only through the hypnosis of God's Maya itself. That is why it's important to point out that nothing I've said today is poetic or just nice sounding words. In fact, I have a dislike for poetry like that. Like I have a dislike for poetry which doesn't point to God. It's just like egotism in the form of nice words. So I would never use that on my children, would I? What I'm pointing you to is very, very literal. God is here. The presence that you call your own is the timeless presence. And can you even fathom what timeless means? This presence right here, simply here, has been there before time. And has seen all of this, everything that has ever happened. It has been witnessing the presence of being as the second birth. And you have been aware of all of this, even the presence, before the notion of time and space. Every story has had you as the witness, as the third birth. Before we go to some questions, I'll make one point clear because some of you may be struggling a bit. Like I struggled here for 3 years reading Maharaj's book, where he said, just stay with your beingness. And I was like, what is this beingness? I can't find it. And I was not with Guruji then, so it was very frustrating. I was stuck. I knew he's speaking the truth, but I just felt like I'm unable to find. So if some of you are feeling that the sense of being, the sense of presence is not apparent or palpable, but everybody else is nodding vigorously, so you're feeling a bit shy to expose that, then what you should do is follow something that you know intuitively. Like if you love your parents, you know that intuitively. You're not waiting for the feeling of love to be there before you can confirm that, or you love your children, or you love your partner. Follow love. Follow even music, which you don't love necessarily for the words, but just the notes. Something. So something that you can meet intuitively, but not with your head, and not necessarily with your senses or the music you do. Then if you follow the scent of that, like the love for your master could be a good example, or your love for Krishna, or Jesus, or Allah, whatever, in whichever way you love God, is a good example. So stay on the scent of that, the fragrance of that, and that points you to the presence. Its very source is your presence. And in this way, then whatever object of devotion we have in our life becomes useful for us because they are the perfume which leads us to God's presence. And in that way, that deserves our reverence and our love. Because we form the gateway to this presence itself. Having a living master is a great blessing because here's something that you can relate with, but it is serving as the instrument of God's light, and pointing you the way God's light would show you in your heart. But provisionally, as you're unable to hear that, it's a great blessing to have the presence of a living master, whichever tradition that master may come from. If they're truly following the truth, or truly discovered the truths in their heart, then their fragrance will lead you to the same presence. And all of this is either very, very simple or very, very difficult. And the determinant is how egotistical you are. How much you still hold on to, how much you still want to be right, how much you still think you know. And if you think you're special, it's going to be especially tough. And if you feel that you have a special right over God, that's going to be squeezed hard. So better to bow your head down and not just lip service, but be ready to become the most humble beggar in the world. And not with a selfish motive to, oh, if I just pose like I'm a humblest beggar servant, then God will come to me, because you will not fool God. It has to be genuine. You cannot just pose. Just like you can smell God and God's fragrance, God is onto you. And all the tricks of the mind. Come to a humble surrender at God's feet in your heart. Hold on to God's toenail with all your might. There's a beautiful kirtan from the Sikh tradition, forgetting the words, but he said, I don't care whether you like it or not, you are stuck with me now. He's praying to God. Even if you try to push me away, you cannot. I'm not going to leave you. That must become our approach. Come what me, I'm holding on to you. I've got a glimpse of your toe. Now I have got a grip on it. I'm not leaving it. Come what me. With that kind of spirit, very beautiful, very easy. But if you're just looking at your life and making judgments about God and saying, oh, you're so unfair to me, I'm not going to follow you, and then when your throat gets squeezed, you say, no, I'm back, please, I'm sorry, God. You say this kind of thing. Don't wait for the bad times. Catch the scent like a well-trained dog and just chase it to the end. Just chase this perfume of the master, of love. Chase it to the very end. You will see that true life has nothing to do with what you think life is. It's a completely different life in the heart versus the head. It's the only life worth living. That is where I'm inviting all of you to live. No fun without you. Cut. Let's look at some questions. I feel like the ones that were posted are mostly answered. Let's see what is alive now. Let's go to Liam.
Hi, Father, namaste. Can you hear me okay, like this?
Yes.
Yes, well, thank you. Yes, I feel that everything you share in this satsang is fully heard in my heart, fully received. I didn't come up so many times in the past months, but also that you've been pointing out this way of the heart it's been fully received, and yes, I just felt it was good to expose a little bit and
Yes.
see if any guidance comes from you.
Yes.
Yes, just to share that these past weeks many things have been happening, and like the feeling, when like you are like pulled from every direction in life, like all the different stuff of family, money, work, etc. And I feel it's a good opportunity also because yes, I feel insight is very clear, but also is somehow testing this faith that you speak about.
Yes.
Because sometimes things become so intense that I see that something like wavers a little bit.
Yes.
So I wanted to share that.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, this is very good because this is in line with what we are sharing. So, what you'll notice is that you find a more steady way of living when you live from the heart. But you're right that sometimes it can waver a little bit. Now, I don't know if it was just wavering a little bit, it is fine. But if it was seemed strongly shaky like in the past, then you really have to return back into God's light because as you're living in God's light, life does not seem shaky. It may waver a little bit from time to time, but the true steadiness is there because our
Yes.
fears, our regrets, our guilt, all of that is not possible unless we have not been following God's will in our heart. So, if you're following God's will, then that's a protective shield around you. You see, that's a protective shield around you because you know that you are in service only, truly in service to the light of God's presence. And that will make you very steady in this.
Yes.
So keep at it and like I was saying, hold on to God's presence with all your heart, with all your might. Whatever strength you think you have at your disposal, use it for God. And then God will take care of running the rest of your life. But if you try to do the reverse, which is that balance it out a little bit here, there, no, then it seems very shaky.
Yes.
You all your might and all your heart to God. God will run your life, but not according to your mind's expectation. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes. I feel. Yes, as you said today, this life is for this light of God. I feel I can say like a big yes to that. Also, I sometimes in this wavering I see like the attachments or the things that bring worries. Yes, but what the experience briefly is that sometimes intense things happen, and I notice that this presence being apparent, like the focus turns a little bit to believing in the situation and how important it is, and how bad could it be if something goes against what I believe should happen. Like this is like what happens. Yes.
Little bit is fine. So I would say that we must live submerged inside God's presence. You see, like a submarine. But sometimes the periscope comes up to just check on the state of the world. Sometimes, not always. We're not always keeping the periscope. Just we're fully submerged. But sometimes we glimpse the world, and sometimes things will happen which will force us to want to take a glimpse. But as soon as we realize that we are in the wrong place, we retreat back home and let the light take care of whatever has to play out. Because God's intelligence, God's presence can do a much better job than we can do with our mind's intervention. Whatever the situation may be, we must never believe that this is something for me to handle. sometimes life can produce situations where we get back into the old habit and conditioning, but the instant we recognize that, we must retreat back home. Very good to hear from you. Thank you.
Just yes, I put everything at your feet.
Okay, let's go to Aniko.
Thank you, Ananta-ji. I would like to ask about physical pain because it's really not possible for me to be in God's presence or chasing or even there is lots of doubt or losing my faith or when the pain is really intense in my body and cannot do anything to stop it. And it was just for 2 weeks now, like I was like so helpless and so much pain, and I couldn't even think about God. And also I have to admit, if because you always ask what you could never give to God.
Yes.
And if God was coming and tell me, now you are free, but you have to carry this pain, I would say to God, go away and take this pain because I cannot hold it.
Thank you for sharing that. And it's very important to bring this to the light. Because in our heart we know that whatever God is guiding is the only goodness, it is the only truth. And yet somewhere we may have an idea that I will pick a life absent of God, but absent of pain, over the life present with God, but in the presence of pain. Now, if you really look at this deeply, you will realize that truly, even in the presence of pain, you will want the truth, you will want God's presence. And what you should do is, it's good that you brought this out, but look at this as the boundary of your surrender, saying that I would surrender everything except that if I had to live a life of pain, then I could not be surrendered to that. Keep shining that into your light, keep bringing that into your surrender, into your prayer, so that it also dissolves. It's better now. It's on till 9, so we'll go on. So it's good that this is not hidden and you have exposed this now. And if you felt that you're completely right about this, you would not even expose it. So somewhere you already know in your heart that surrender has to be 100% or not at all. So if your surrender does not include having to spend a life in pain, which can be triggering for many of us actually. We can all evaluate this and say, God said you can have the truth, you can have my life, you can have my life, but you have to spend one lifetime in pain. Would you do it? I feel like it is a worthy contemplation, worth looking at. Of course, I send you my full love, my full blessings, and I will also contemplate this because I don't want it to become lip service from here also. So I will also contemplate this and say, for a moment of God's presence, would I exchange that for a lifetime of physical pain? Thank you, thank you. It's good contemplation for me as well. And of course, goes without saying that my full love and blessings, and if it is my Father's will that this pain becomes lighter, then let that happen. Let's go to Georgie.
Hello, Father.
Hello, Nitya.
I've been feeling for some time now that I don't know how to say it, but like I feel like far from you and not
Right
physically.
there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, yeah.
What way? What is happening? What is the trigger?
I don't know. I feel like since I've known you, I've never been more involved with what's false than now, and lately. And
I want to tell you that most of the Sangha is feeling this. And I feel like this is a little bit by the design of God and how it's playing here, that all of these things are being brought to the surface because of the kind of satsangs we've been having. So I feel like it may be something that I'm purposely trying to burn up and bring up so that it doesn't hide behind a sort of convenient spirituality. So in a way, it is very good that it is coming up, because if it is there, it is coming up on the surface so that it can be healed, it can be released.
sometimes I feel like I can't hear you, or
Yeah.
and it's always been since the first day I heard you. It was so easy to hear you.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening.
Yes. So you have to dive in even deeper when the mind makes it difficult to hear that which is actually very simple words. You see that many of you are having this now, so you have to dive in deeper. The mind will want you to run. The mind will say, no, this has become too something. I can't follow this. We want you to run. But that is the signal to you, saying that if the mind wants to run, what is best for you is to dive in deeper.
And something is rebelling against Satsang.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It is our knowledge.
and
It is our knowledge, what we think we have understood. Our ideas of Advaita, spirituality, everything can be. What is he saying? It can be, but the good thing is that you don't run in spite of the rebellion, because in your heart you realize that something is speaking from there. So this is very good, because this is how I want all of you, in a way. In a way, full burning is happening, but you're stuck. You're stuck with me, and yet you're not comfortable. That is the best.
yeah, that's where I am.
Yes. See, but don't run, okay? And
No, it's impossible.
it's like Damo's fracture. So, what are they doing to heal it? The bone got broken. The doing is they just put it together. See, and then some magic happens in the body that the bones fix themselves. So that's how satsang also works. Many times it's just feeling a bit broken, but you just put it together and then allow that whole burning and that magic to happen in that way. But that's why I've been saying that if something is burning, then is that good or is that bad? Because we must remember that what can burn is only the false. You see, so it cannot be that we came from a truer place and then now all this burning is happening. It must be that, but there were blind spots there were things that were hidden somewhere and they were hiding, and now in the different kind of fire of satsang, you're finding that coming to the surface and something is burning and resisting and all of that. And this is the subtle aspects of the ego which may have been getting created in that way, which are now coming to the surface to burn. Because if there was nothing to burn, then there'd still be nothing to burn, independent of whatever I could be saying.
So this feeling or idea that what you're asking from us now and where I am at the moment, it's just such an abyss between the two.
Yes.
Is what I'm feeling now, that I can't deliver.
Yes. Yes. Yes, that's very important to meet that. Because I would be more concerned if someone says, I can meet you 100% right now. I got this, man. Yeah? So, because what I'm asking is everything. So now by your looking at the gap, you're looking at the lack of complete surrender, your lack of complete faith, which is a symptom for everyone. But as you're looking at it, by your noticing itself, it will burn. Without noticing it, it will not burn, it will hide. Because your lips have committed something often, which you find yourself now unable to deliver when you realized what it may involve. Because you have promised often that your life is mine. So now that it's really being pushed in that way, just to look. And by the way, I've not yet asked for anything from anyone. Just in the exploration itself, just in the exploration itself, so much of this burning is happening, which is so healthy. So in a way, it is good that you made that claim. See, because once you make that claim, we want to own it. And then when we find ourselves unable to own it, that's where the best burning happens. Best burning. Now, I don't want to sound too reassuring. But I want to light another fire.
So if there's stuff happening,
So the question for you is, whose life is this?
the question for you is, sorry?
Whose life is this? I know what you promised me already, but I want to repeat. Whose life is this?
It's yours.
Then who is things happening to?
Yeah.
You see, this is where the claims are very helpful, because we want to live up to the highest claims, and then in that way all the faults will be burnt in that process.
Can I ask you something?
Idea, but I was just saying that the instant we say that we are spiritual, we are saying that my life is now God's. Otherwise, there's no point saying we're spiritual. We could just say we are into some self-help or something. So this is the meeting with true spirituality. Say, you ask.
So sometimes I'm moving and life is getting very I don't know. There seems to be a lot of important stuff happening or stuff to take care of, and in those moments I remember you, and I feel that I'm not. I feel that I'm relying on mind, and in those moments I don't know how not to.
Yes, yes. So when you recognize that you're relying on the mind, even in those moments, you're not able to come back to the heart. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I'm too involved.
Even after the noticing happens, or is it that time which has already gone past, which you used your mind, that is anyway gone? It's fine. But what about when you start to notice? Yes, yes.
When the noticing happens, maybe for an instant I'm with you, but it's just an instant. I know that I'm always with you, Father, but I need to expose all of this.
Yes, very good. It's very good to see this. So when that noticing happens, if you're able to come to your heart for an instant, then what makes you leave?
Habit, and there's a momentum lately. It's too.
Yes.
I know this is just an idea, but there is a momentum of too much involvement lately.
So you can inquire into it. You know inquiry very well. You can surrender it. You know how to surrender, and you can pray into it and say, "Please, Father, help me with this. This habit keeps pulling me back away from you. Please, may God's presence, may God's light shine on this and make it lighter and go away." Whichever prayer like this comes to your heart, you can do that as well. But it's very important that this comes into the forefront, so that it is then available for inquiry and surrender.
The whole thing feels like a regression lately, like I'm regressing or something. I know I'm not the one regressing, but
it can feel like that. Many of the Sangha is feeling a bit shaken and like this.
Many of the Sangha what, Father?
Feeling a bit like this because they feel like, but it was more easy. I was in the truth a few weeks back, and now with all of this, I feel a lot more shaky. But if the potential to shake was there, it's very important that it gets pulled out like this.
Yeah.
You rest in your strength instead of some shakiness hidden there. There are some topics, some dark blind spots here and there. So it's important that all of this brought to the surface and cleaned up. That's why I said that I don't want it to be a comfortable spirituality now. I want you to stay with me and to make you uncomfortable for as long as there's something that can be made uncomfortable.
Why have you become so urgent suddenly, Father?
This is how grace works. This is how grace has operated here. And it's a constant deepening that is unfolding here as well. So in fact, I myself cannot recognize the Ananta from a few weeks ago. But my heart tells me that it's beautiful. In fact, I was feeling that we should just delete all the older videos and start.
Every day.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What does your heart say? Does your heart agree with mine where I feel like it's beautiful grace that is unfolding?
Yes. Yes. Sometimes it's too obscured, so I need to turn up my hand. But yes, I agree with you, Father.
Very good. Thank you. Welcome to Samia.
Hello, Father. Father, if you can say hello, then I can see you.
Ah, hello.
Yeah, hello. Have to see you.
Same.
I feel very okay.
Very good. Very.
And if I have to speak, I have to say that I don't feel so much difference, like,
Yeah.
and yeah, like, yeah, this is how it is, and it's very good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah.
You had your fair share of burning before even all this.
Sorry, Father?
I said you had your fair share of burning for many, many weeks before all this happened.
Yeah. Yes, and it's just kind of finished, Father, like it burned, and it's like I came to emptiness now, and yeah, they all left, and yeah, it's so beautiful, and yeah, like what we all call as resistance, resistance towards Guruji, etc. They are just emotions and playing, like if they were a real resistance, we wouldn't be here, and yeah, after they all pass, I could see clearly and say yeah, they are nothing. Actually, I maybe want to bring something to you. I don't know if this is necessary, but I would love to bring. Actually, you kind of let me know before. Sorry, I still cannot be sure whether I need to share something or not, but
You have to follow your heart. Follow your heart, you'll be guided from there.
Okay. I don't know. I want to bring, but I don't know. Like this intuition thing, Father, it's like my experiment now, and yeah, I'm happy actually in daily life. I see how intuition speaks and other things just obscure this seeing. Like it all came up recently, and I'm so happy to be in this experiment. And I feel like, yeah, maybe one thing I want to say is that because also intuition uses some words, maybe, or it's like it is seen, like there was some, I don't know, maybe belief or concept, like if it is seen, then it is mind. And this one was always coming and it was obscuring like intuition.
Yeah.
So I felt to offer.
Yes, thank you, Machai. So we clarified a bit of that today, where this can be a mind trick, which the mind can say, but presence can't use words, or presence can't guide. Whereas throughout our history, we've had so many stories of everyone who was coming to God being guided very clearly from the heart. So if that was true, then the words of satsang would be just mine. So when satsang is consciousness speaking with consciousness, or the heart using this instrument to share, then that would just be words. It would not be true if that was not possible for the heart to communicate. So that's why I said that when I want to hear my heart, it's just like I continue to share satsang, but with my mouth closed.
Yes, and actually on deeper level, it is known that intuition is intuition. Like whatever like obscure is that they are nothing. Intuition is known as intuition. When I contemplate today about this, I see this clearly. And the other thing I want to offer is that I see that when intuition is there, spiritual concepts are playing, like in order to protect this body, in order to what I know as a higher thing for my spiritual thing. This is also very much playing, and yeah, too many concepts, especially around spirituality and protection of this body, protection of like myself, this kind of concepts, and so many things was there. And today when I move in daily life, it became just too clearly. And if it is important or it has anything, like I want to offer them if it is needed. Yeah,
you're doing well. You're doing well. The only tip I have for you is that make this about God completely.
Make this about
God and God's presence and God's light completely. Then the mind will not be able to tempt you with its stories and its ideas.
Sorry, Father, I couldn't understand you. Can you please say whole thing again?
This whole thing about God's light and God's presence, then the mind will not be able to tempt you with any stories about what is better for you or worse for you or anything like that.
Can you please use another way to, yeah.
Not God for you, but you for God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. You say it's not about like using words. Yes, Father, I'm fully here or something. But in my heart, it's. I feel like now I'm at this point. Like really, I'm here.
Yes.
Like not God. Not at no. Like yes, I'm here for God. Just may He just give me strength on this.
Yes.
If I need to pray, just this.
Very, keep going. Okay. Very good.
Yeah. Yeah, Father, something I want to bring. Just some in life, something unfolded here through some connection, and it was just not in my hand, and as if like each moment God has shown me moment by moment, like this has to happen, even before this thing happened. And yeah, it's like so many tantrum just thrown to me, like hatred and like also you said to me before, actually, before all this, like even people will hate you, just do this. And I have to say that maybe it was the fear here, like people will hate me or something. And finally I could face with the reality of this, like someone told me how they see me, like not one people, but all of them. Yeah, like so many gossip. And actually it was like, it was very powerful grace, like really, because it does something in me, just took something from me. Actually, it has so many layers, Father, like I cannot convey, and it's still unfolding here, just so many things in one incident. But I feel like I need
I want to say just one thing about this. This is very important. Thank you for sharing this, because yesterday I came across something which I felt should be rule number one for all sanghas. What should be rule number one for all sanghas? I came across something where somebody said, if you gossip about someone, you do not pray for them. And if you pray for someone, you cannot gossip about them. So rule number one for all sanghas should be to pray for our brothers and sisters. And then when you pray for your brothers and sisters, then there can be no gossip about them.
then
there can be no gossip about each other. If you pray for someone sincerely in your heart will not let you gossip about them. So I feel it's very important for us to share this. I don't know the context of what you're saying, but I'm saying that true brotherhood, true sisterhood comes in this way, that we, even if we spot something, we pray for that. And we realize that we don't have the capacity to judge each other. But if we feel strongly that, oh, this one has this affliction, then what is our best use? What is the best help we can provide? We can pray for that instead of sitting and gossiping about that.
Yeah. So I'm not the one who gossip, Father. Okay, so what you say was general. Okay, I just wanted to clarify if there is misunderstanding. So yes.
For every sangha, everyone in the sangha to hear, and every sangha in some way to hear this, because it can seem like it's a very harmless sort of activity, but actually it is just giving into the mind and all its judgments and all the selfishness. So better to pray than to judge.
Yeah. And I'm so happy that I have like nothing for them, Father. Like maybe there is some hurt, but not like it's even not hurt, like I'm really want their goodness. And why I wanted to bring this to you is that all of them somehow know that I'm a student of Muji Baba. Before I go to Guruji, all these things happened, and some of them know Muji Baba and have such a respect. And I never was like, I'm the student of Muji Baba. I never became like this, And somehow some of my friends just tell everyone she's the student of Muji. And I was like, please stop it. But somehow they learned. And anyway, and because of this, like I wanted to bring this thing to you, because it seems like things became a little bit like complicated and it doesn't dissolve. And because of this, I wanted to bring. And also I wanted to say that the one who told me his hatred and etc., he is really loves Guruji so much, actually, Muji Baba. And actually, even though he said something like this, at the same time, before, I don't know if, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, my daughter just came in.
No, it's okay. Just this.
To go soon.
Like, just things went well at some point, and I have also, I know why it is. It's not just all about them, of course. Yeah, the whole thing. All I can say, I wanted to bring it to you. Yeah.
Okay, I have to rush now, so I'll go. But I see most of you are joining on the conversations that we're having on Discord on Monday and Wednesday as well. So you can ask so on Monday. It's funny the name Discord for Satsang, but if one of you has the link, you can post it for the others who would like to join as well. I'm finding it very helpful actually to stay in touch with the sunrise. Thank you all so much for being in Satsang today. Sadhguru Shri Muji Baba ki Guru Kripa ke. How do we attend Monday Satsang? We can post. Somebody can post the link, or it's not possible to post. Somebody posted. Thank you.